For decades, people believed he was a financial genius. Billionaires trusted him. Banks trusted him. Even experienced Wall Street investors believed in him without question. But behind the scenes, Bernie Madoff was running the biggest financial scam in history. A scheme that destroyed lives, wiped out fortunes, and exposed how fragile trust in finance really is. This is the story of Bernie Madoff. Born in 1938 inches, New York, he came from a normal background. Nothing about his early life suggested what he would later become. In 1960, he started a small investment firm with just a few $1,000s. At first, he didn't stand out. He was calm, professional, and consistent. But he understood something powerful. Trust matters more than anything in finance. Over time, he built exactly that. Trust. And it became his greatest weapon. As years passed, Madoff became one of the most respected names on Wall Street. He even served as chairman of NASDAQ. That gave him authority few people ever questioned. Because when someone is inside the system at that level, people assume they must be legitimate. And that assumption protected him for decades. Eventually, his firm became unusual. It felt exclusive. People couldn't easily join. Some waited years to invest. And that created a psychological effect. If something is hard to access, people assume it is valuable. The wealthy recommended him to other wealthy people. Celebrities trusted him. Institutions trusted him. Entire families gave him their savings. And almost nobody questioned it. Because questioning Madoff meant questioning the entire financial elite. So instead, people focused on one thing: consistent returns. Madoff promised stability. Not extreme profits, just steady growth year after year. Even during financial crises, his clients still made money. And that should have been a warning sign. Because real markets are never that stable. Risk is always present. But Madoff's results looked perfect. Still, people didn't question it. Why? Because psychology overrides logic. When people see profits, they stop asking how they are created. And Madoff understood that completely. But the truth was simple. He wasn't investing the money at all. He was running a Ponzi scheme, one of the oldest fraud systems in history. New investors' money was used to pay earlier investors. There were no real profits, no real trading, no real strategy. It only worked as long as new money kept coming in. And for years, that is exactly what happened. Billions of dollars flowed into his firm. On paper, everything looked perfect. Accounts showed steady growth. Investors believed they were getting richer. But it was all fake. Statements were fabricated. Returns didn't exist. Everything was an illusion. And somehow, it lasted for decades. Even warnings were ignored. Analyst Harry Markopolos repeatedly told regulators that Madoff's numbers made no mathematical sense. He provided evidence. He showed calculations. He proved it was impossible. But nothing changed. Because Madoff was too trusted, too respected, too established. His reputation mattered more than the facts. Then came 2008, the global financial crisis. Markets collapsed and panic spread. Investors wanted their money back, fast. Withdrawal requests surged, and the system finally faced pressure. But there was a problem. There was no real money behind it. No real investments. No reserves. Because the entire structure depended on constant inflows. When that stopped, it collapsed instantly. In December 2008, Madoff confessed to his sons that the entire fund was a fraud. Soon after, he was arrested by the FBI. The world was shocked. People lost everything overnight. Retirement funds disappeared. Charities collapsed. Families were destroyed. The total damage was estimated at around $65 billion. The largest Ponzi scheme in history. But the most disturbing part was this. Bernie Madoff didn't look like a criminal. He looked like someone you could trust completely. And that is what made him dangerous. In 2009, he was sentenced to 150 years in prison. He died in prison in 2021. But his story became more than a financial crime. It became a warning about trust, about authority, about greed, and about how easily people believe something when it looks safe and professional. The truth is simple. The biggest scams rarely look like scams at the beginning. They look legitimate. They look stable. They look exclusive. And by the time people realize the truth, it is already too late. Bernie Madoff didn't hack finance. He hacked human nature.